Hello everyone and welcome back to Comic 47 Vlogs. And we're going to be talking about Absolute Martian Manhunter issue number 1. I got this really cool variant cover, which is super cool. I mean, it really shows the premise of the story. Look at the colors in the black and white. Here's the original cover. Like this is like the main cover. And they had a lot of variants for this comic. They even had like a foil variant that also was really cool. All the covers are actually really cool. So what I want to talk about today is how Absolute Martian Manhunter number 1 is it's an absolute masterpiece. I mean, pun intended this time, but it really is. It's a work of art. It's a literal work of art because it just has all these artistic expressions and ways of showing the characters. They mess a lot with color. So it's one writer and one artist. Usually, comic books have um, a penciler, an inker, and a colorist, but this is all done by one person, Javier Rodriguez, and then the writer's Dennis Camp. So I don't really know how they got together to really organize the arts and the writing, because I feel like the artist probably needs a little more credit, not just for the art, but also like co-writing this, because it's really well done. I mean, the color theory in this book is astounding. Look at that orange contrasted with the purple, the complementary colors, and then you have the color wheels and the primary colors and all this stuff going on. And so basically, Absolute Martian Manhunter is part of the Absolute DC series. So basically what they did was they got all the main characters of DC and pretty much said, like, what if this character was totally different but with the same core aspects of them? So with Batman, it was like, what if it's still Batman, but he's not rich and he didn't grow up with Alfred, right? Or what if we get Wonder Woman, but she never grew up on Themyscira, um, or with the Amazons, yet she's still her core self. So this is pretty much the premise for all of these Absolute comics. We have Absolute, so far, we have Absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, most recently Flash, and now Absolute Martian Manhunter, with Green Lantern coming up on the way, I believe either this week or next week. Um, so Absolute Martian Manhunter was really good. It's a little bit confusing, and I think that's kind of the point. Like, it wants you to take, the writer wants the reader to also feel like what the character's going through and the confusion of the character. So I'll just show you like some pages to not like, you know, give away the entire premise. But you see this right here. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, but the original artist came up with this design for Absolute Martian Manhunter literally by getting clay and just shaping it into that. Like, there's an actual picture on Twitter where the artist shared like the actual clay figure that he used for reference for this. That's just kind of how he came up with it, because essentially, so in the regular DC continuity, Martian Manhunter is this Martian that, he got taken over by the white Martians on his planet, and the whole planet got set on fire, and then Martian Manhunter had to come to Earth. But the difference is, in this comic, it's actually two different entities. This is a regular human, um, and Martian Manhunter is a separate being that's like now fused with him after this accident happened. So, that he can still read minds, he can still do a couple things here and there, but now it's a little bit of a different thing. Now there's two entities in one body instead of it just being one person. But yeah, and so yeah, those are two important things to note: the character design and the differences, right? I don't want to get into like exact heavy detail on everything because you should really read it for yourself. But the artwork is really well done. It definitely feels like an indie comic. It feels like something Image Comics would publish. And the writing was really well done because, you have to think to yourself, how will the writer make Absolute Martian Manhunter, right? Because how do you change the character while keeping the values the same? Um, Look at this page, you know? The way the writing and the art was put together is like an absolute artistic, just wow, look at that. It's very artful and it's very intentionally placed with colors and forms and shapes. It's a very abstract comic, but they do it in such a way that you don't see as much anymore. And I feel like we need more of that. Now, I want to show you something very special. So this is I'm going to show you the last page, okay? It's not really a spoiler because you actually have to read the story to know what's going on, because without context it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to show it. Look at the colors on her face. It's just amazing. But okay. So you see this page, right? Here, they guide you on how to actually look at this page. So you're supposed to hold this page up to the sun and it'll reveal something, right? So let me show you. Let me turn on my lamp. Okay. And I'm going to show you. Is that on? I'm going to have to give me a second. Okay. Here we go. Look at that. Look at that. You can see, and then I mean it's from like it shines this page through here, and now it's like they're fused together. Look at that. And it even like this back of the page is reflect. So let me like turn the light on and off so you can tell the difference of what's going on. So, right? You see that? That's interesting. Look at that. That's so cool. And you don't see that in comics, right? It's like the old it's like the 90s way of the 80s and 90s and maybe even the early 2000s of like doing fun things um with like cereal boxes and comics where they used to give you like 3D glasses to read a comic, or the the stuff would pop out of the page, so you don't see that. So it's really, really nice to see that. And the reason why I say this is an artistic masterpiece is because A, they just have that. It's a really fun thing. But also B, the way this artist works with colors and storyboarding and storytelling, and the way the writer puts this together, you're really gonna feel like this is just one of the most like unique comics in mainstream media that you'll read. Um, in indie comics, this is a lot more common, this kind of artistic creativity. And don't get me wrong, DC and Marvel are very good with their artists and artistic creativity, but this one takes it more a step further, This is a very art-based comic. So I think they did an excellent job. Look at this page, for example. Wow. And I just think it's very fun to read. It feels like the writing is one art form, the arts is one art form, and if you read it together, it creates like this whole. It's so hard to explain. You have to read it for yourself, but it's really nice. It's really good. It's $5. Issue one. This is one of the most sold issues in DC. I think they sold a few 100,000 copies. These absolute DC titles are really selling well. They're selling really well. Absolute Flash sold is was one is so Absolute Flash was the highest selling Flash comic I think since 1986, if I'm not wrong. So that is a record. They broke records with Absolute Batman, which I think sold like 400,000 copies, and then Absolute Wonder Woman sold a lot, if I'm not wrong. They're all like selling like crazy. So you have to add this to your pull list. You have to make sure that if your shop still has this comic, hope that it does if you don't have this comic yet, but um, if your comic book store still has this comic, um, then grab it and add this to your pull list, meaning you'll get it every month ahead of time so that, they don't run out of copies. But yeah, with that being said, that's it for this comic. Let's see. Let me turn off my lamp. There. Whatever. I mostly turn it off. So yeah, check out Absolute Martian Manhunter #1 if it's still in stores, because this sells out quick. Um, but yeah, and if you don't have a chance to, if you didn't have a chance to get issue 1, they tend to do reprints. So sometimes they reprint, like if a series is popular enough, they'll reprint the first issue like in like 2 or 3 months. So yeah, so be on the lookout for that. With that being said, leave a like, comment what you think about this comic, or what was your favorite. You know what? Comment what's your favorite absolute title so far. Is it Absolute Wonder Woman? Is it Batman? Is it Martian Manhunter? And give me your top 3 picks if you've read more than one of them. So yeah, I'll see you next time.